Welcome to a very special bonus episode of Be a Better Lawyer podcast. I was at Clio conference last week and I had the opportunity to meet up with a longtime client, Nancy Cogar, who is originally from New York and has moved long ago to Tennessee, where she practices estate planning and elder law in Chattanooga. She drove out to Nashville so that we could meet in person, and we talked about all of the things. And we talked about a lot of things that if you're growing your own practice or if you're feeling stressed out in your practice right now, are going to be of benefit to you. And let me give you a quick breakdown, but you are going to want to stay till the end because she gives away her best nuggets at the very end. We talked about her experience working for someone else, another law firm, and learning to build a practice of her own that she really enjoys and structuring that for herself. We talk about the turning point for her when she started making more money in her practice, which was the same turning point that I had. We talk about her experiences working with a coach, what's even more important to her than making money. We talked about our least favorite TV show and how it came up in one of our coaching sessions. And we talked about her former life as a journalist and the major event that changed everything for her. And we also talk about the biggest shocker for her in her business progress. So make sure that you listen in. And if you have not yet booked a strategy session with me, I highly encourage you to do so right now. This is the time to start finishing up this year strong, starting to plan 2023, and make sure that you are focused on what it is you want. Because if you haven't hit your goals yet, that doesn't mean anything. You can still achieve exactly what you want to achieve, and I can help you. So be sure to book a call with me. Go to dinacataldo.com/strategy session. With that, let's jump on into our conversation. I am here with my very dear friend and client, Nancy Cogar.
Yay! Hi, everybody.
We're here at Clio conference. She is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I am in Nashville for the Clio conference. And Nancy actually drove out to Nashville to see me.
Across the hills and the dales to come see you.
And I just thought it would be really fun if we did an episode and then we just chat. I was just talking to Nancy and I said, I don't really know where to start, but I just thought we'd start with just like, who are you? And what do you do?
Yeah. Well, who I am, I've become a lot more aware of that since I've known you, really. And that's no fluff, folks. I really mean it. Well, I'm a practicing attorney in Chattanooga, as you mentioned. I'm a wife, I'm a grandmother, I'm a stepmom, I'm a godmom, I'm me. And I just enjoy life and helping people and making a difference and just using my talents and my skills to make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. I know this because we work together, but like tell everybody who you really enjoy helping.
Well, my peeps, as I say, are older people, and more particularly children taking care of their aging parents.
Okay.
I've been there, I've done that. I know how hard it is. And it's not the kind of thing you think about or prepare for until it's upon you. And there are so many things you can do legally to make it better for your parents and easier on you as a caregiver. So I really enjoy that. I like cleaning up messes. So I get a lot of messy situations and you know, the biggest compliment for me is, and I hear it often, is when people leave, they say, I feel so much better. I can breathe. And wow, what a compliment.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this kind of work?
Really primarily over the last 5 years, I've been concentrating on, estate planning, elder law, and then of course, probate, trust administration. Previous to that, I did some other kinds of law.
Yes.
Because my boss was telling me what to do, of course, and I wanted to get paid, so I did what I was supposed to do. But I have my own business now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So things changed. And, I want my business to be a reflection of who I am.
Yeah.
And you've helped me a great deal with that because, as lawyers, we often think, what are they doing over there? Why are they logging so much time? Why do they look so busy? They're driving a nice car. How am I going to do that? Oh my gosh, I don't have enough billable hours. I've heard it in my mind round and round and round, of course. But the truth is, I don't want their clients. I don't want their business. I don't want to do what they do because that's not me. I want to do what I'm gifted to do.
Yeah. And I think it's so fascinating that when you honed in on that, you started making more money.
Yeah, I
Right.
know.
I think a lot of attorneys think that they need to work really, really hard and that they need to be busy or they're not going to make money, but you actually made more money when you slowed things down.
I did. And I was miserable the other way too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had the same experience. Like I was the busy lawyer, that's why I'm the busy lawyers
Yeah.
guy, all that stuff, right? But it's like, yeah, I was super busy all the time. Busy was the badge of honor. You wanted everybody to know you were
Oh, yeah.
busy. And I was that person. And then when I was taking what I learned in my law practice and I was bringing it into my coaching business when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought I needed to do all the things in order to build my business. It wasn't until I hired a coach for myself and I slowed everything way down that I started making money in my business. Like until I could clean my brain up and I could start understanding why I was not taking the most impactful actions versus just action, then I couldn't see what I was doing and I couldn't build my business. So, yeah.
I mean, it's a creative process. So if your head's filled with garbage, you're not going to be able to create anything fruitful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, go ahead.
No, I mean, you have taught me that. And sometimes I'll just unload, I have weeks where I just unload, but everybody needs somebody they can unload on.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not it's so funny because the way you're interpreting it as unloading is so fascinating because for me, I don't hear it as unloading. I hear it as, okay, this is what her brain is going through right now. My brain is just okay, so what is first of all, what's the low hanging fruit here to kind of help you turn things the way you want to turn them? Where can I ask a pointed question? What's happening in her situation that's a little we could kind of poke around at, right? So it's interesting that you interpret it as that because I'm no, this is great. Tell me everything.
Well, and it's funny. I could sit there. People think about reasons not to hire you or some other kind of coaching assistant. I would totally tell them to hire you, of course. So, but we've been working together a little over 2 years, and if I look at where I was versus where I am now, I am making more money. I do have a productive business, but I'm a much happier and healthier person. And that's really what's important. It's a Monday and I'm here in Nashville and my office is operating without me.
That's freaking fabulous.
Right? I told myself when I went to law school, I didn't want to be chained to a desk. But so many lawyers, including me, are chained to a desk, thinking, oh crap, I got to work until 7:30 tonight in order to get this done.
Yeah.
That's no way to live.
It's so interesting, the things that we think are going to be the big, make the big difference in our practice. You and I think you're okay if I share this, let me know, otherwise I'll delete it. But when we started working together, one of the things you really wanted to accomplish was create a workout routine. Right. And I get that from so many lawyers. They want a workout routine, but what they do is they routinely skip their workout routine so that they work more because they think that's going to make the difference between them feeling behind and not feeling behind, between them making more money and not making more money. Right. Between them being happy in the future and them not being happy in the future. And when we started working on your thoughts around the workout routine and your work, you started your workout routine and you practiced it. It wouldn't be consistent at first, but that's normal. You just keep trying and you keep practicing and you tweak and you then you make it routine. And then you were happier.
I know. Well, it's kind of funny because we say the law is a practice, right?
Mhm.
It says, oh, it's a practice. Well, when you're practicing something, you don't have it perfect. You're just practicing it,
Yeah.
you know? And it's the same thing with the workout. When I was hemming and hawing about that, I don't have time for it, or I'd put time on my calendar, but it was kind of soft time. I
Mhm.
really hadn't committed to it. I was already thinking about my results and defeating myself in my workout results. And I didn't even get to the gym. So, you know, if I just show up, that's when it changed. I said, hey, I showed up. And I've made a really good friend and another personal trainer coach who is helping me and celebrating me getting stronger. And I'm enjoying my time with my grandkids because I'm stronger and I feel better. And guess what? I still have a lot of work and I'm still getting the work done. And I'm taking time to exercise and take care of myself. You know, I can't be anything to anybody if I don't take care of myself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I also think like, you were saying you have a lot of work to do. I mean, if I look at it that way, me too.
Yeah.
But like we don't have to do everything perfect. We could just
No.
show up and just like do what we can. Right? Do what we're capable of. And I love this Maya Angelou quote. It's like you do it. I'm gonna screw up the quote, but it's something like, you do what you can now, and then when you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that that's so relevant for us recovering perfectionists.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are recognizing that you're not doing something because you think it needs to look a certain way, just tell yourself like it doesn't have to look a certain way. It just needs to look the way that it does now, and then you can make improvements upon it. You just tweak it.
Well, and so many things that I've worried about have never happened. Like spent so much time worrying about something that just never happens. That scenario over and over in my head. But the cool thing is, when I started, it turned into something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different.
Yeah, I remember that because we started. You were like, "Oh, I want to go for walks,"
Mm-hmm.
and then now it's like swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you just figured out what you liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing about swimming is you can't bring your iPhone with you. You can't look at your email. You're in the water and you're moving, and so it's a great way to just unplug and you know
Yeah,
be moving.
yeah.
You know, yeah.
You know what I want to talk about? I love. So let's talk about what you did before you were a lawyer, because this is like your second life, and I think it's so fascinating what you did before. Can you tell everybody?
I was one of those people that stood out at the beach and said, "Don't come out here with waves and sand and seaweed and all kinds of stuff flashing at me." I was a television reporter.
Yeah,
So,
television reporter. I think that's so awesome. Why did you switch over to the law?
I decided that I wanted to torture myself more. So, no, um, that's my joke. No, the reason, well, partly because I'm type A personality, so I love a challenge,
Mhm.
So the news got to a point where it wasn't very challenging. Um, and a lot had changed. I was with President Bush at that Florida elementary school on September 11th. And that was a real shift for me because I'm from the New York area. My family was in New York. I know people who work on Wall Street, and I've been around politicians so much in my life just to see all that shift and see Secret Service agents who never flinch, shaken, and I, it just it shifted me. Uh-oh. And I'm gonna okay. Someone making a shake in the background.
Well, there's something going on, but I don't think the microphone's picking it up. I think
No.
we're okay. We'll
Okay.
try it.
Okay. Um. So where was I going with that? So, but I really, my whole world kind of got rocked in a manner of speaking. And as a reporter, I always wanted to help people. I was just kind of really solution oriented. wanting to find solutions, tell stories for people that, didn't have a voice otherwise. And that's a lot of what lawyering is, I think. And it just so happened I had the opportunity to go to law school after that, and actually drove back and forth to Nashville from Chattanooga for 5 years and
Oh
went
my
to
gosh.
night school. Yeah. So, but I'm glad I did it. And it didn't look like what I thought it would look like, but it's so much better. It's
That's
so much
awesome.
better. I'm glad I did it.
So right before we met, what was happening for you?
Well, I was a solo practitioner at that point. And I was listening to your podcast, and I was like,
How did you find my podcast, by the way?
I think I was searching for help for lawyers or something. I was in desperate need of help. So, and then I found your podcast. I started listening to it. I was like, boy, she really gets it. And she, a lot of the things she talks about are exactly things I am thinking about. And she makes so much sense out of, the big mess that I'm in every day is the way it felt. You were kind of helping me to see a path.
Okay.
And that eventually led to me, I think, reaching out to you. And then we started coaching, and the things that we were coaching on then are so different than the things we're coaching on now. I went from being a solo practitioner to going back to a firm where I'm a partner now. I didn't see that in my forecast.
Like you, and I see you as a solo practitioner. Like, even though you're a partner in a firm, you're still a solo practitioner, because it's not as if you're sharing really anything except some expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, the way my firm's set up, it definitely is helpful if you have that entrepreneur kind of mentality.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I call myself CEO Nancy.
That's right.
So what would CEO Nancy do? She wouldn't sit around here and, complain. I was going to say something else.
I know, right? Because that's really what there might be some people that, that might complain instead of doing the work to build their business. They shall remain nameless.
Yeah, I think about how much time do I spend complaining or looking at Facebook or looking at or thinking about what other people are doing that I'm not getting to do.
Yeah.
Probably not as much anymore, but oh yeah, it's such a waste of time.
I mean, we all do it to some extent, right? Like and we've talked about this on the podcast before. It's like these apps that we have are specifically designed to suck our attention away and spend our time on the application so that they can get advertising dollars. Okay, so it's not anyone's fault if they are addicted to social media, or they find themselves like addicted or not. I don't want to use the word addicted, but just they repeatedly go to social media when something gets hard or they don't want to do something.
Get that serotonin going.
Right. And then I talked about this on like the nervous system regulation podcast episode, and like some other episodes where it's like our brain wants that dopamine hit. And so of course we're going to go do the easy thing versus, okay, well, I want to build my book of business. I want to get some client work done. Like your brain is like, I don't want to do that. Let's go check Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. And what does that really mean? You did a podcast, I think, on networking. And if you think about networking, I always think about getting up way too early and go drinking bad coffee and talking to a bunch of people that I have no plan or desire really to do business with, right? That's probably a terrible thing to say, but it's the truth.
I get it. I totally get it.
That's not networking. Networking is standing in the grocery line and you see someone with their mother and having trouble, offloading groceries and say, Mom, you really need to get your glasses checked. This is getting harder and harder all the time. Well, I'm right there present in that moment. So I can say, hey, you guys need any help? What's going on? And this is a friendly part of the country, as you said, So there's more opportunity in that probably than in other places. But, I'm just looking for people that need what I can offer to them.
Yeah. And it's
And
not like you're selling anything in that moment.
uh-uh,
You're just looking like, hey, can I help you?
yeah,
Right? Like, what do you need?
yeah. And then they'll say, well, what do you do? And I'll say, actually, you know what? I help people as they're aging, and I help people that are helping aging parents.
Mhm.
So it's as simple as that.
Mhm.
Well, I need your help. They say, yeah, well, here's my card. And you call and talk to my assistant, and we'll get you in, and we'll talk about what's going on in your circumstance. And there's some things we can do to help you. Yeah, there's lots of things. And nobody knows about these things until they're faced with it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so um, it's, you know, I'm probably oversimplifying it, but if you
No,
ask me to write an
it's
appellate brief or something like that, and go into super shock. No, oh my gosh.
okay. So what do you think has been like the biggest impact for you the last couple years? Like, what was kind of the biggest shocker for you, if there was a shocker?
How much just showing up matters?
What do you mean?
Well, that it doesn't, I've stalled, and I still have areas where I'm stalling and ruminating and thinking about things before I move forward. But it's okay moving forward when it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Just showing up and moving forward, and doing something, carving out a little bit of time. That's important. And just solely focusing on that. Do it over and over and over and over again. And guess what? Before you know it, you're way down the road, and you've created something that has some shape and has some character, and people are interested in it, and it's got some stories attached to it, you know.
Yeah. And what came to mind when you said that was so many of us, I'm including myself in this, like we wait to make offers, we wait to start posting on social media, doing a podcast, whatever it is. And we're waiting because we think that there's a right way to do it and that it needs to be perfect in our minds to execute. But the way that you improve is by iteration. So if you don't get a first iteration out there, you're not going to be able to see what needs to be improved. Like for me, copy evaluation, right? So I post on social media. And so one of my main marketing avenues are those posts. And I had to just post. And then I had to go back and evaluate the post. Be like, oh, I didn't put an offer at the end of that one, or I could have articulated that better. I could have articulated the problem better or the solution better, and help, create connection better. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't write really bad copy first
Yeah.
and put it out into the world. And like, if you've been listening to this podcast I don't know, did you listen to this podcast when it used to be called Soul Roadmap?
No, that was
Oh my
before
gosh. It was like, so if you go way back to episode 1, I don't recommend, you can do it. I don't think they were awful or anything. They're just not, directed solely to lawyers. I did interview podcasts because I didn't know what to talk about. Right. I just knew I needed to start a podcast. And so I started, and I don't think it was bad necessarily, but I don't think it has the same quality as it does now. Like, I definitely know that I've grown as a person, and I've definitely grown I don't even think I was a coach back then. Like, it was just, I just started my podcast. And now, like, if you're listening to this now, you can go back to like episode 89 is I think around where I started doing Be a Better Lawyer podcast. And this is like episode 230 or something now.
I know, it's amazing.
But I had to keep going, even when I made one that maybe I was like, oh, that one sucked, or it just kept going.
Well, and you're preaching to me because, of course, one of the things that I'm still ruminating on and haven't done is, and former broadcaster, okay, I have not done a podcast, which I really want to, because there's so many things I learn along the road with aging people and taking care of them that I want to share. And that would be helpful. And that's that's what you taught me. It's about service. It's about what can I share with somebody else? And then it just kind of goes on to the next person.
Yeah.
Because that's so true about you. The reason I reached out to you was because I thought, she gets it. She's a lawyer, and she's talking about things that nobody wants to talk about.
Right.
And I thought, she's really courageous, and I want to know her. And I mean, just the things that you've been able to help me work through, I, it's been one of the best investments I've ever made.
Thank
So,
you.
mhm.
It means a lot to me that you keep re-signing with me. Like, that means you really trust
Like,
me. No, I'm like, I think like 99% of my clients resign with me.
that says a lot,
And
doesn't
I'm
it?
just like, this is fabulous.
Yeah.
Because it means that I'm delivering.
Mhm. You are. You are. Absolutely.
What do you want to say to people who are listening right now?
So I'm assuming that they're mostly lawyers, correct?
Most of the people who listen are lawyers, but I do have non-lawyers who reach out to me who say they
They
listen to the
secretly want to
podcast.
be lawyers.
They're like, no, but like the stuff that I talk about on the podcast, it's in so many professions.
Mm,
It just so happens I have the word lawyer in my podcast, but like there are a lot of non-lawyers who are listening. And shout out to you for wanting to, get awareness around these things, these
mhm.
topics, and improve your life. You don't need to be a lawyer to get a benefit from this podcast. But yeah, there's non-lawyers listening.
Well, when you said that, I was thinking back to some of the lawyers that I've worked with in my life that are, I use this term loosely, retired.
Yeah.
Haha.
Mhm.
I would just say that, if you're on the fence and thinking about, is it worth it to make an investment in a coach, Dina, or, you got that 3-year plan and you're thinking, once I get the 3-year plan done, then I can start working on myself.
Mhm.
Don't do it, because you don't know if you have the 3 years. You really don't. I mean, the last 2 years have taught us that life is very temporary, and the last thing in the world I want is just to work to the point where I have no life left. I missed out on so many things. So, what I really want to share with somebody out there that's listening is, I've seen people that I've worked for that were very good lawyers, and they stopped lawyering, but they didn't really start living. So that model of working yourself down to the ground, it doesn't have an end point, right? So you have to be able to stop and say, I want more and I deserve more, and really choose to have a life. You can't help anybody if you don't help yourself and care for yourself. You're going to burn out. And that's, you helped me kind of find that in the weeds when, I've talked about a lot of different things, but I feel like I'm there in so many ways now that I have put a stake in the ground and said, nah, these are my non-negotiables. I'll show up, I'll help you, I'll keep a heavy caseload, I'll do things other lawyers won't because they're too complex, but these are my non-negotiables. I work out these days at these times. I don't work Fridays.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you started doing that, how many months ago?
It's been like 8 months.
Yeah. So
I know. And I mean, Saturday is my day with my husband. We have time together. And Saturday nights I go to church with my family and just spend time with them when I'm grandma. Sunday, sometimes I just watch stupid television and sit and have my dogs
We've had
all over me.
conversations about this. Can I mention the type TV show? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Gary's listening, right? So there's this TV show. I
No.
also hate this TV show. And so if you love it, I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Sorry,
but it's
Gay.
what's the name of it?
I always want to say Third Rock from the Sun,
No,
but
it's
that's
not.
not
That
it.
one was actually okay.
No, it's Sheldon.
Oh, what is the name of that show?
Oh.
And and here's the reason it was so funny. So I'm just going to let you in on this little secret. It's not a secret, really. It's a conversation that we'd had in coaching one time. So Nancy's husband watches this show, the one with Sheldon. And
I can't
Big
stand it.
Bang Theory.
Oh, Big
That's
Bang
what it
Theory.
is.
Oh.
And so I was doing my best to keep a straight face because I'm coaching her. And so we coached through the issue, which was, Gary watches this show and she doesn't like it. But so she had a lot of frustration around it. But turned out it was her thoughts.
Yeah,
Just a hint.
it was.
But it doesn't change the quality of the show. So,
And now
so after
my shows are much better.
after the coaching session, I said, "What? It's that show, right? That Big Bang Theory. I hate that show too." And my friend, he constantly texts me little video snippets of it because he knows I can't stand it. And I am personally offended by it because I love comic books and I love all
Oh,
things,
yeah.
Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm a total nerd when it comes to that stuff. And so I'm a little offended because it's a very condescending show, in my opinion. And so it drives me nuts. It's all my thoughts. You can hear me talking and ranting.
Yeah.
It's all my thoughts. But there are certain shows that I am going to decide I want to keep my thoughts about. And that's one of them.
Yeah. And just if you're listening, I used to get so irritated because I came home, was tired after working all day, and my husband's retired. Okay. And he is wonderful. But he wasn't paying attention to me when I came home. He was watching Sheldon. And when he's watching that, he's not paying attention to anything except Sheldon. So I was so irritated by that. But you know what? If I asked him, and Dina would say the same thing, he would watch whatever. He'd say, "What do you want to watch, honey?" The truth is, I didn't want to watch anything, but I should have just communicated that. I'm like, "Hey, let's go for a walk. Let's go do this. I want to talk to you."
But instead,
I'm brooding over Sheldon.
like, Sheldon, I hate him. Versus, hey, you want to go for a walk?
Yeah, I know. Here's
Which he would
a
totally
professional
comply with,
person that
because he just likes spending time with you.
I know.
So
And he watches my TV shows, crazy British
this
documentary.
all came out in a
archaeological
coaching
stuff.
session.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening, like Nancy didn't point the first, she was just upset. And then she started pointing out all these things like, well, I mean, he does change the channel when I want to watch things. I'm like, what? Oh, and he will turn it off and go for a walk. What?
I
Yeah.
know. Because the thought was, he's not paying attention to me. I have a problem in my marriage.
Yeah, I mean, it was a problem, right?
Like-
You were literally thought this is a problem in my marriage. Isn't that fascinating? Like, this is what could happen in your brain, guys. Like, if you're listening to this, sometimes we just have these thoughts and we don't recognize that there are all this evidence that is in opposition to our thoughts, but we can't see it because we're too close.
I know, we're in there.
Yeah, we're being in our, that's why I need a coach too. I need a coach to be like, no, what you're thinking here, there's this whole other side of the story you're not even looking at. And if you focus your attention on that part of the story, is the first part of the story you just told me even true?
I know, you've called me out on some things, but I needed it.
We all need it. I mean, it's not, we get too close to what's going on in our life and we just can't see the options. And then we feel trapped. Right? Like we have that's the all or nothing thinking, that black and white thinking. It's like, well, either I have a problem in my marriage, I need to divorce him, or he needs to stop watching Sheldon. Yeah. You're like, those are the two options.
Can you imagine that in a petition?
Why would you like a divorce, ma'am? He's watching Sheldon. Stupid show. Okay. So I love that you love working with me, but is there something else you want to share with them about what is something that made the biggest difference from you outside of, what was something that made the biggest impact for you in terms of something you implemented in your practice?
I used to think that I had to answer my phone every time it rang. I thought I was being a bad lawyer if I didn't answer my phone. Well, I could answer my phone all day and get nothing else done, right? So that was a huge thing when I realized there's something called voicemail and I can leave a message.
Well, wait a minute, Nancy. Don't you have to pick up the phone every single time? Because if it goes to voicemail, they won't hire you.
Well, I thought that might be true, but it's not.
What? Tell me more.
They actually leave messages, and say they've seen me and my website and they like what I had to say there and they want to talk to me about their circumstance and please call them.
Mhm.
And they leave their telephone
What?
number.
But I always hear that people just never call back and they just go to the next person in the phone book.
Well, you know what I've noticed?
Hmm.
If that's the case, they're just shopping around.
Yeah.
They're not really committed anyway.
Yeah.
People that are looking for me, that would be a good fit with me as far as a client and lawyer relationship.
Yeah.
Most of them already know me or have talked to one of my previous clients before even calling me.
Mhm.
So on my message, I say, "Hi, I'm glad you called. You're important to me," because they are important to me. "I'm doing other things right now," which is not a lie. I'm doing other things, but I will call you back. Typically, I call people at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. And that works.
Yeah. See, so listen to Nancy. She knows what she's doing. There is one other thing that I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. There's one other thing that came to mind while you were saying that, which is consults. Because when you and I started working
Oh,
together,
yeah.
you were not charging for consults.
No. And
Why
I had
not? Tell me why.
had six a week.
And you were filling them.
I know. So I was wondering why my billable hours were down.
Wow. So tell me, why weren't you billing for consults?
Honestly, I thought they wouldn't do it if I charged them
Yeah, why not?
because I showed up thinking I had to prove myself versus knowing and being confident about what I have to offer someone
Mhm.
and knowing more about what they were looking for and what would be done in that time period.
Mhm.
So when I made the shift and, said, here's what I charge and here's why,
Mhm.
it's not a problem.
Yeah. I mean, and they know what they're going to get when they come to you. They know they want legal services.
Mm-hmm.
I think I don't charge for consults, but I think when people come to me, they're not entirely sure what coaching is.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't charge. But like they know they want legal services and they
Mm-hmm.
want to hire you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it makes sense. It's like, okay, they come to you and they know what they want.
And I also, if I can't help them, I will call them back and say, I can't help you.
Hmm.
I know, shocking. Um, and I'll say, you need to call so and so, or, they'll be able to help you more than I can.
Mhm.
Or if I'm too busy, I'll say, my partner in the office, does some of this work. Would you like to talk with them? Because otherwise, I'm going to leave you waiting because I got a heavy caseload right now. And if this is more urgent, this person can help you right now.
Yeah.
And guess what? They say thank you.
And then they tell their friends.
Yeah.
Okay. So why did you start charging?
Because I didn't have any time left.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me more.
Well, I mean, it's part of the same thing about how much do you charge for an hour, You can go agonizingly through that and thinking about, well, I can't charge that. It doesn't, you really needs to, you need to figure out what works for you. There's no magic to that either. But the problem is, if you're not charging an amount that covers your time, it's not good business.
Okay, but
Right?
I'm going to back us up a little
Yeah.
bit because I had a different view of your brain.
Oh.
So when you weren't charging, you had exactly the thoughts that you just mentioned. But when you started valuing your time and charging, like it took some work. Like we didn't do this just in one session. It wasn't like a magic bullet. It was like
Mhm.
we had to kind of unwind some of the thoughts that you had and then you implemented. But the only reason that we even got there is because I would hear you come on calls and you'd be like, I am so busy.
Mhm.
And I'd be like, okay, tell me more. Right. And so then we'd get to the bottom of that. And it was like, oh, you're not charging for consults. Tell me why. And then we started being able to unwind some things.
Mhm.
And then you were like, okay, I charged it. And
Yeah.
then they started just like, tell me what happened after that.
Actually, they were more prepared.
Mm.
They came wanting to make a decision about what they needed. And I mean, I have this unfortunate problem that when people meet with me, they hire me.
It's a horrible problem. It's like, I'm so nice. I'm so competent. They just want to hire me.
No, seriously. So
It's a
I
sickness, really.
I don't really, I go into the consult interested and curious. And then that is more kind of a strategy session in my mind rather than a consult, because I'm not talking about me very much at all.
Yeah.
I'm talking about them and what they need. And I'll set out 3 or 4 options for them. So they have an action plan right there.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they'll want to do it, and they'll pay me what I need. I've figured out how much things cost ahead of time, and I put the money in my trust account, and I tell them, explain what that is. I don't say my IOLTA account. No one knows what that is. Say, that's my client's money. You know, that's my client. That's your money. So I don't get paid until I do the work for you. So, but that's a deposit there that gives you a security on my time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that we'll call it a strategy, being nice to people and talking to them like a human being. But that's strategy. I mean,
my secret sauce.
It just works. And I think that as lawyers, we overcomplicate things, and we think that we need to do all of these things and we need to be busy all the time, and nobody's going to hire you if you charge, for a consult, or nobody's going to hire you if you charge X amount of dollars. And that's something we've also worked on, like as you've increased your rates, and you have not seen, and my theory this is what I think, is you don't raise your rates until you have a more than full practice, right? You're like, you've got a wait list, and you have a wait list. You like book consults like a month out, 2 months out.
Yeah. And I when I saw you earlier this morning, I said, in November, I'm going to start booking to 2023.
Yeah.
And it just is. And it's just kind of I think it's really just a response to being who I am,
Yeah. Like, so if you're listening to this, just be a wonderful human being that I know you are. Just love your people, serve them. Like when they come to a consult, you're there to serve them. Like that's how I approach mine too. It's just like, I'm not, there to sell anything. Like you're not there to sell anything. It's like, what's going on? What's happening with you? Tell me all the things, and then we'll go from there and see what you want. But when you are confident in the service you provide, if you're confident in yourself and your ability to deliver them, I think that speaks volumes. And I think people can read that when they're on a call with you.
Yeah, they know.
Yeah.
I mean, people have gotten so much bull in this country. They're so full of it. They're really full of it. So.
Okay, I'll give you the final word. Anything else you want to say?
I do. I wanted to give you something.
You gonna give me something? I thought you were gonna give me apples.
I do. I have apples here. These apples I got with my family last weekend. They're from Ellijay. They're Honey Crisps. And Ellijay, Georgia, which is just south of Chattanooga, is the apple capital of the world.
Wait, these are Georgian apples?
They are. Yeah.
Ooh, so. I've never been to Georgia. Okay, I'm excited about these. Thank you so much.
And this is for you too. And last time I was in New York, I went to the Frick Museum, and I just buy things when I see them. Just sometimes I don't know who they're supposed to go to, but this one I know is supposed to be for you. So it's just kind of, it's just a gift to say thank you for making my life just so much more vibrant.
This is so sweet.
Absolutely.
Left the packaging here.
I should have, and I did.
You should have. Oh my gosh, these are gorgeous. Okay,
it reminded me of you.
I will wear these. So this isn't on video, I know, but these are like these beautiful, they look handmade. Beautiful beaded necklaces. You know me so well because I love jewelry and like wearing pretty flashy things. And they're like coral and gray and rimmed with gold beads. These are stunning. Oh,
they're beautiful like you. So
thank you. This is really sweet.
So
I don't want to.
I love you
because I'm like.
No, I do. I love you, and just my final thought in that is, you live in California, right?
Yes.
I live in Tennessee.
Please tell everybody what you just did.
I put my thumbs under my underarms. Tennessee. It's really not bad here, folks.
From a New Yorker.
Yeah. But I mean, there was an opportunity 2 years ago or so for you to help somebody you never met before, just from doing what you felt led to do. And I responded, and you've helped me help people here in Tennessee. And I just thank you for that. And thank you for investing in me and let you know that what you do is important. So if you're out there and wondering why you haven't done it yet, just do it and believe in yourself. And Dina will help you figure out the rest.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to this. This was kind of a love fest, but I hope that you got some really great tips from this, because you've heard it from somebody who's made changes in her own life, and it can be done. You can really live better. So I hope to talk to you soon.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation. I know we got a little bit corny, but that's just who we are. So take it or leave it. But I hope you had a good time, and I hope you took away some amazing nuggets. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, if you enjoyed hearing the transformations that Nancy has made in her life and want to make some of those transformations for yourself, book a call with me. They are available to you too. You can go to dinacataldo.com/strategy session. That's dinacataldo.com/strategy session. Bye.